Hi, and welcome back to Baking with Jen. I'm Jen, and today we are working on the Bake a Wish weekly baking challenge. This week's theme is bread and pastries. And after our quick YouTube poll, which I left up for like 4 days or so, the consensus was to make cheddar biscuits. So cheddar biscuits are kind of quick and easy, but we'll work with those today because they're also really delicious. So let's get started on that. My recipe starts off with 480 grams of flour. I believe that's 4 cups. So let's get that measured. Get that started. All right. My favorite mixing bowl. And sugar scale. Like I said, it's 480 grams of flour, which I believe is 4 cups. Because 1 cup of flour is usually about 120 grams times 480. That's how I'm getting that math. All right, 190, 299, 420, or 422, 460, 500, a little too much, 486. That's close enough. So for this next part, I usually have my butter frozen and then I use like a cheese grater to grate it into the flour. But we're not doing that today. And actually, I forgot about a little bit of salt. I usually use about half a teaspoon of salt, so about that much. Actually, usually I don't use salt because I usually use salted butter, but today I have unsalted butter, so. Also, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, which we're going to need a little bit more than this, but this is a chunk, so I'm just going to sit here and crush it in my hand and crush it down into a fine powder into the flour. You can do this in a sieve. I'm just doing it by hand because I like working with my hands. So, in this instance, having a bit too much baking powder isn't going to kill anything. It'll just make it be able to rise. So, and cheddar biscuits have a tendency to have a little bit more like flavor to them than just like a sweet biscuit or a plain butter biscuit. So the bitterness from the baking powder won't bother things too much. So right now we have flour baking powder. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of sugar. Oh, actually like a teaspoon of sugar, just to kind of balance out the flavor a little bit. So that's the base of our recipe. And like I said, I normally grate the butter into the flour from here, but I didn't freeze my butter ahead of time, and I probably have some out in the freezer somewhere. But so I'm gonna use a different method today. I'm just gonna chop it into little tiny cubes. So I'm gonna get the cutting board, and we will begin chopping. Today's method is teeny tiny cubes. You could just like use a food processor and kind of process the butter into the flour, and that would work just fine. But what I'm going for with my biscuits is something kind of more like a croissant where there's all those little pockets of butter. And so when you have chunks of butter, it leaves it kind of flaky and with little pockets of like buttery goodness in them. So this recipe also usually calls for uh, a cup and a half of butter, so 3 sticks of butter. But today I'm just using 1 cup because I'm putting cheddar in here too, and so when that melts, it'll release a little bit of oils into it. And I don't want this to be too oily. So we're just gonna do 1 cup of butter and call that a day. So you can do this in 2 ways. You can like these are all stacked. You can individually coat these and then put them in, but I'm just gonna cut them stacked up like this. They will stick together because the pressure kind of pushes it back together. But once you get it in the flour and start like moving it around, it'll get between these pretty good, especially if you smush them. So I'm just gonna take this and just kind of knock it into the flour. So that's what we're gonna do with all these. I'm just knocking it into the flour so that it's just in there. And this method is a little bit faster than grating it, but it will work just the same. I just like the grated because well, one, the chunks are frozen, so they stay as chunks a little bit longer. These will kind of integrate into the flour a little bit more than I like it to, but it'll be fine with the cheddar and everything. So we're just going through and cutting this up, and then we will not exactly mix the flour into or the butter into the flour, and it's not exactly cutting either because when you cut it, you're cutting the chunks into smaller pieces. It's more like we're just going to coat our little chunks of flour, and then some of them are going to kind of rub into the flour, and it just works in a very interesting way. So like I said, this is a little bit faster than grating the butter, which I normally like to do, but you can do it with refrigerated butter because you can still cut it fairly easily. If you want to use room temperature butter, then I would definitely rub the butter into the flour so that everything like gets all coated. Now that's going to give you a more tender biscuit than a flaky biscuit. I'm kind of going for this is going to be like a medium tender flaky biscuit. It's kind of in between. I find when I use the frozen butter that I grate, it's really hard to cut it into chunks if it's frozen. It's much better to cut it into chunks if it's refrigerated. But when I use the frozen butter, it stays in chunks a little bit better, and so it gets more flaky. It's just the different ways of using butter. You could also use something like shortening or lard, which would give you a completely different texture. But we're going with butter today. And you can do a combination. I think my grandma usually uses like vegetable oil. So liquid oil, solid fats, just about any of them would work. I just like butter because butter tastes buttery. Okay, so that is done, but since we're sitting here cutting things, I'm not using grated cheese either. because we just got out of grated cheese and we don't have chunks of cheese. We have slices of cheese, and rather than cutting slices of cheese down, I'm cutting chunks of cheese down. Chunks of cheese. So why is it Chuck E. Cheese and not Chunky Cheese? I forget his middle name. What's Chuck E. Cheese's middle name? Hi. She uses butter? Okay. I thought she used vegetable oil. Maybe that was just like when she didn't have butter. That's what I thought anyway. But I haven't seen her make biscuits in like 20 years, so I don't think my recollection is that reliable. Yeah, we're not going to use the cheese just yet. We're going to finish mixing up the biscuits, and then we're going to put the cheese in. But I want to get these cut into chunks so that we can stop with the cutting. Stop the cutting! Killing, cutting, potato, potato. So, we want kind of small chunks of cheese, just because we're pretending it's grated, but it's cut into chunks instead. So, little tiny chunks. And I know these are strips. We'll cut them into chunks in a sec. So when I'm doing this, I'm actually paying attention to the bottom of the stack to see if it's trying to shift or anything anywhere, because as you cut down, it will shift. So I just want to make sure that you're focusing on the bottom and not the top, because if you focus on the top and you move with the ones that's shifting on top, then you'll get all weird on the bottom. This is sticking to the knife. I'm trying to get it off. See, it's stuck. All right, now this side's an avalanche, but we're gonna ignore that. And then just more little tiny chunks. It doesn't matter if it sticks to the knife at this point, because they'll fall off in a minute when we go through the next part. So no cutting my fingers off either. We like the cutting into chunks and not cutting off fingers. Those are all pluses. Okay, so chunks of cheese and then set aside. So here's the fun part. We have all of our chunks of butter, and can you see the grid in the butter? And overall, our idea is that we're going to break these down and separate the chunks, but we're doing it in the flour. So just all of this. Right, a wire cheese slicer would be really helpful. They don't stick to the knives like that. But when you got all you got's a knife, you use a knife. That's how it works. It reminds me of the show we've been watching, Next Level Chef, where it has 3 different levels of the kitchen, and like the basement kitchen, it like doesn't have a blender and it only has like really bad equipment, but like the middle one's kind of like a middle of the road. Like I imagine it's the kitchen like at Applebee's or something like that, where like they have a bunch of stuff, but maybe they don't have like the top tier equipment. But then you have the top level, which is like high end kitchen equipment, and it has like everything you could want to use. And like, okay, so I don't cook in like the lowest level kitchen. I probably cook in more of like a medium level kitchen, but I always treat everything like the low level kitchen, because it's like, well, if you don't have it, then at least figure out how you could do something similar. And so, like, I have a blender. I could throw all of this into a blender and just have it turn into biscuits the way, like, I could use the blender as a food processor and make this super easy on myself, and just cut these I could cut the butter down into pats and not have to worry about individually separating it like this. And I could do everything in the blender and it would be perfectly fine and super easy to do. Um, but I like to make things hard on myself. I like to do things in fun and interesting ways. And I guess this is fun and interesting. Exactly. You do what you gotta do. Like, yeah. Or you could just not eat biscuits, or you could eat Pillsbury biscuits because those are already made. But if you want to make biscuits at home, you can do all this. Hmm. I couldn't imagine if I didn't have a knife. Like, oh, I guess I could technically cut this up with like a spoon, or I could just like smash it in, which is what I would do if it was soft butter. Like if I didn't have a refrigerator and it was soft butter, I would just smash it in my hands. It would be just fine. It would make delicious biscuits. Oh, it's funny. I'm like, I'm going to do it this way because it doesn't take as long as grating, and my butter's softer, so it wouldn't grate anyway. But it's like this doesn't take as long, and then I sit here for like 10 minutes taking it all apart. Yeah, blender would heat the butter, so that's why you use frozen butter in the blender. Oh, I would probably wouldn't do that either. No, the blender's supposed to act like more like a food processor because I don't exactly have a food processor. We have a Ninja blender. Oh, thanks, Michael. It's just kind of tedious sitting here taking each piece of butter apart individually. But I guess it's not as time consuming. Food, quality food takes quality dedication and time. It does. That's actually something I was thinking about earlier. We're getting to a point in the country where like grocery stores are getting really expensive and people are not wanting to spend grocery store prices on things. And I was thinking, well, if you don't want to spend money in the grocery store to have the things that you want, then you can either grow them and make them yourself or find somebody who like grows and makes things and like contribute to them to have them help you or to help them help you or something, whatever you want to look at that as. Um, but yeah. So yeah, this I'm gonna like press into the flour. So this is not it is kneading it in, but what is it called? Cutting. You're cutting the flour into or the butter into the flour. And I'm just kind of coating the butter with flour. And in the same rate, it's also covering the flour molecules in butter. So we're looking for something that looks kind of like cornmeal. Homestead, right? But see, if you like live in a city, maybe you can't homestead, but maybe you can make a deal with a farmer on the edge of town and be like, hey, if I pay for the feed and give you a little bit of extra to take care of a couple of chickens for me, would you do that? And you can make a deal like, hey, I get a dozen eggs a week and you take care of this chicken for me. You could do that kind of deal with somebody. And then you don't have to actually homestead yourself. Because I was thinking, like, if you live in the city, um, you could set up grow box in your window. If you have a balcony, you could set up some plants on the balcony and you could grow a little bit of something. Like maybe if you live in the middle of the city, you couldn't necessarily completely feed yourself on what you could grow, but you could probably um, do pretty good and lower your grocery bill a bunch. During World War II in Germany, it got to the point where they were so low on food and everything. If you grew your own food, one, that was the only way that you were going to eat, and two, farmers market. Well, and two in Germany, like soldiers could come and commandeer what you grew to feed the soldiers and feed whoever. But it's why we have quartering laws in the U.S. Anyway, farmers market's a good place to go to get foods and stuff that you can't grow yourself. It's like a food swap. where you use money as a mediator. Okay, so I'm just making a little well here and crushing up a little bit of baking powder that I found. And in this well, we're gonna add an egg. I think I usually do 2 eggs, but we're gonna do 1 today because I don't feel like using my dirty hands to get another one. And some milk. This is usually about a cup of milk, but I also usually eyeball it. So, okay, I think the only thing I can grow for myself at the moment is cactus. Yeah, I'm actually starting some dragon fruit plants because they're cacti. You could grow dragon fruit. Technically, this like winter and this time of year is the time that if you're gonna grow like potatoes and tomatoes and stuff, this is the time to grow it where you live. You just have a different growing season. Your growing season's winter versus summer. Summer is effectively your winter since um, it's like I need to store up for the summer. Arizona's backwards from the rest of the world. Uh, well, this is coming together nicely. You don't want to knead biscuits too much because you don't want them to get super tough. You want them to be tender. But since this is mostly come together, this is the point where we want to add the cheese. It's still sticking to me, so it'll come off in a minute. But add the cheese, and then you just want to fold it in so that it's kind of incorporated into everything. I'm hoping as I fold it a little bit, it'll release from my hands. All right, and so you can do these biscuits in one of 2 ways. You can roll them out and cut them and have them be like rolled biscuits, or you can just like cut up, like, grab a chunk, put it in a pan, and there you have a drop biscuit. So options. I think I'm gonna do drop biscuits just because I don't feel like rolling them out. But these are pretty, like they've come together pretty good. I'm gonna try avocado. Oh, nice. I'm not sure how avocados will grow here. I know they don't like to freeze. So those 2 days of the year where it gets down to freezing, we have to pull it inside. But other than that, it'd probably be fine outside. Um, yeah, avocado would be nice. I have 4 avocado seeds sitting on the counter right now from last night that we're gonna see about starting to grow. Okay. Now, like this all came off my hand pretty easy. So I'm gonna go grab a pan real quick, and we're just gonna section these out into drop biscuits. Grabbed 2 pans just in case. I only need 1. Only need 2. We'll see. Sound like a parrot. Use a silicone mat because I'm in love with silicone mats. And like I said, just tear off a chunk. Now you don't want to like roll this into a ball or do anything fancy like that because then it will like seal it up and it won't be able to rise very well. But tear off a chunk and see this right here. I don't know if you can see that. That's a little ball of baking powder. So if you see those, just smash them. Anyway, figured most avocados come from Mexico. Yeah, so that should do really well, actually. Actually, I think I'm gonna have less biscuits than I normally do from this recipe because I'm just kind of making huge biscuits, actually. I don't know if the 350 is gonna be enough. Shh, it's okay. We'll pretend. Pretend it's enough. So these normally cook for like 20, 30 minutes. We'll see how long they cook for today. Right, I guess that's kind of on par. Normally this recipe makes like 14, 16 biscuits, somewhere in there. I think if we get a dozen today, it'll be like a feat to get a dozen. This is how much dough I have left, and it doesn't look like it'll make 6. Having 9 biscuits today? Wow. Like I said, big biscuits. Yep, we're doing 9 biscuits with what I normally get like at least a dozen. So these are just bigger than normal. So I'm gonna spread them out a little bit more so that they're not like right on top of each other. Not that they are, but all right. There we go. We have 9 cheddar biscuits, and the oven's at 350. So I'm going to put these in for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to rotate them, and we'll see how they're doing. All right. So from here, normally I would make something else, but I don't really have something else lined up to make today. So, as a special surprise, we're going to go through and review some stuff. Yeah, I remembered to set a timer. I often forget that. Okay. So, the other day, we were talking about the Rice Krispie treats. We made them last week for the kids' recipe, but these are so hard. Like the marshmallows I used were dried out, and I think that made this, like, if you try to bite into this, it is awful. It's just, I nod through one of these because I do that. But I'm one of those kids that would like gnaw on the huge jawbreakers. So, like, super duper crunchy. Like, let's look at this. Like, that just sheared because it's just so hard. And it's just like crumbling to pieces. You see that? So, with these, this is actually what I'm doing with these. I'm cutting these down into little chunks like this. And then this is just going to turn back into cereal. This is going to be Rice Krispie Treat cereal. So use soft marshmallows or marshmallow fluff and make sure to stir it often and don't let it like cook and caramelize because otherwise you'll end up with Rice Krispie cereal. Which there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for Rice Krispie treats, then Rice Krispie cereal is not the one. Rice Krispie treat cereal is not the one. So, yeah, I'm gonna cut these all down later. Like the rest of the Rice Krispies, because I'm the only one who's eaten any of them. We still have all of them basically because they're just hard. they're not really edible because they're so hard. So, but pouring some milk on this would probably be delicious. Like, they're delicious. They're just rocks. Ooh, they remind me of in Harry Potter, there's Hagrid, the giant, and he makes the rock cakes that you can only eat if you soak them in tea for like 20 minutes. Otherwise, they'll knock your teeth out, kind of thing. That's these. They're delicious, but, well, I don't know if Hagrid's rock cakes are delicious, but these are delicious. They're just hard rocks. All right, we're gonna go over these real quick. I don't eat brownies really. These are good. Like, see, a lot of them, like, they fell apart as I was trying to get them out of the pan, so they're kind of crunchy, but they're also chewy. These have a Hershey Kiss in the middle, and they're really good. And these have like a peppermint kiss in the middle. So chocolate kiss, peppermint kiss, just brownie batter. And all of them have like crunchy edges and soft middles. So they're really good. It's just, I don't like brownies. So reviews. Then this is our millionaire shortbread from the other day. It's really, the caramel is really, really sticky, and it doesn't cut very easy. So like this whole portion is still one big bar because this is just so hard to cut. Now, this is absolutely delicious, but I must have done something wrong because this shortbread is so light and crumbly. Now it's delicious, but it is like really light and crumbly. It falls apart easily. Like as you're trying to eat it, your cookies falling off of your piece, and it's just hard to eat. But the caramel is chewy, and it makes this whole thing kind of taste like a Snickers. But it's just really, like, the caramel's really chewy, and then the cookie's really crumbly, and it's delicious. It's just hard to eat. So I don't know what we're gonna do with these, but it's also hard to cut because the caramel's so chewy that when you cut it, it sticks to the knife. So it's like I had a cup of hot water and like a little paring knife when I was cutting these. So I dip the paring knife in the hot water, wipe it off, cut through, dip it in the hot water, like try to clean the stuff off, wipe it off, and put through. And by hot water, I mean I got it out of my kettle, like boiling hot water, not just like hot tap water. So delicious, lovely caramel, nice and chewy, very sticky and hard to cut, but also that cookie was very crumbly, and it makes the whole thing hard to eat. So I'm not sure how to fix that. When I was mixing it, it was really light and fluffy. So I'm thinking that if I hand mix it instead of using a hand mixer, or if maybe I needed to add a little bit more flour so it wasn't quite so light and crumbly. I'm not sure, but that was really nice. And this has started going bad. I'll have to make another one. But the Irish soda bread, it wasn't bad. It's just the one at the place where we normally get Irish soda bread. Like this one smells more like a biscuit. Theirs smells more like bread, and I'm not sure how they do it different than what I did. So I'm gonna throw this away because it started molding. But yeah, no, this one always smelled more like a biscuit, and it has kind of more like a biscuit flavor to it, while soda bread usually has more of like a tangy flavor to it. Maybe it's because I wasn't able to use an actual buttermilk because we don't really have buttermilk around here, but I have to see what I can do about working and making a better soda bread because this one just wasn't it. Alright, so that here, let's add some drinks to the stage. There we go. So yeah, that kind of covers everything that we've made in the last 2 weeks. a lot of that has actually been really good. Like it tastes delicious. It's just I've had a little bit of problems here and there, and they're all operator error. They're all stuff that I did to mess it up. Like I said, with the Rice Krispie treats, I used stale marshmallows. So to combat that, I should have added a little bit of water or cooked it on a lower temperature, or like there's a couple of things I could have done that I didn't do, but now we get to have Rice Krispie treat cereal. So like there's a win, kind of. So yeah, we have that one. And then the brownies, like there's people in the house who love brownies, so they can eat all of those. I'm just not a chocolate lover. Maybe I do plan on making some blondies in the future, and those I will totally eat all over the blondies. Just not a big fan of chocolate. So today we're making these biscuits, and coming up on Thursday we have um, hot cross buns. So we'll start off making that dough because that's going to have to rise. And then we will be right win-win Rice Krispie treat cereal. So Thursday, hot cross buns and oatmeal cream pies. Like those are really good. Thursday is also the spring equinox. It should be the day when like the day and the night are equal. For some people, that is a fairly big holiday. It's a time of like planting seeds and all of that kind of fun stuff. So it's getting ready to start the abundance of the year. So we're working on that. So it's like the pagan East version of Easter. So we'll make the hot cross buns and the oatmeal cream pies. And then next week on Thursday for Easter, I have a poll up for what to make. There's something in that's winning right now. What's winning for Easter? Community. What's winning for Easter? Ooh, lemon blueberry blondies with lemon glaze. So like, see, we'll make some blondies. We have that, and then I'm also gonna try my hand at making marshmallows. Um, my mom's made marshmallows, and you can make all different kinds of flavors. So if you have a flavor of marshmallow what you'd like to see me make, like put that in the comments, and we'll see about making that. But we're gonna try different flavor. We're just gonna make one flavor of marshmallow because I don't want to have a ton of marshmallows, like homemade marshmallows sitting around. Um, you can like toast them and eat them, and like all the same things you can do with regular marshmallows. I just, when you have like a high quality flavored marshmallow like that, I feel like it's better to just eat them rather than use them in something. My weirdness, so I don't want to have a bunch of marshmallows sitting around. So we're gonna make a few marshmallows, one one batch, and then the lemon blueberry blondies. That sounds delicious, and that's what's winning right now. There's still some time to vote and change that because I probably won't actually update all of that stuff until this weekend. So feel free to vote. I will be putting up another poll on Friday for um, the last week of the challenge. So this is week 3 of the challenge, and we have next week, which is week 4, and then the baking challenge is over. So hopefully we've brought some fun awareness to the Make-A-Wish Foundation for all of the fun terminal kids and that they help. So hopefully we brought some awareness to that. I'm not sure if we actually did or not, but we're working on it. The oven timer says that we have 3 minutes until we reach the 15-minute mark. So let's take the other camera and see what that looks like. And I've had songs stuck in my head all day. Right now it's a Pink song. And the only reason why it was Pink song that stuck in my head is because I saw a video short that had it in it, and now it hasn't been able to leave my head. Kind of frustrating. Anyway, let's take care of this. Let's see. Uh-oh. Can you guys see those? The biscuits are puffed up nicely, and they're looking pretty good. I'm really happy with that, actually. There, that's a little bit better. You can see the biscuits a little bit better. Like I said, there is still, okay, there's like 2 minutes left on the timer for them baking. For the first 15 minutes. Like I said, these can take 20 to 30 minutes. I put them in for 15 minutes just to kind of keep an eye on them. And then here in a minute, we will rotate the pan. I always advocate for rotating your pans while things are in the oven because no one has a perfect oven and there's hot spots and cold spots. And so if you rotate your pan halfway through, then that helps make sure everything bakes evenly. Unless you have like a convection oven, I've done that. I'm at least not using the convection feature on the oven. If I do have a convection oven, I don't think so. I don't see a convection button or like an air button. And a convection oven just basically means that it has a fan in it that'll blow the air around so that the hot air is more even through the whole thing. You could probably even make these in like a toaster oven if that's all you had. I know a lot of toaster ovens have like a temperature gauge, and you can leave them in there. The only problem with the toaster oven is like it has just a heat pump, so you have to make sure to rotate it and keep an eye on it a little bit more than you do in like a regular oven, just because they don't cook as even. You can probably a lot of the air fryers, like we have the a Ninja air fryer, and it does have a bake option. I have found that if you're gonna bake anything in an air fryer, that you need to put a lid on it. I actually have this pan that fits perfectly inside my air fryer. My air fryer is a circle. This pan fits perfectly down inside it. So I find if I turn off the timer, if I put something in this pan, so like biscuits, and I put aluminum foil over the top, and I bake it for like 90% of its bake time, with the pan and the thing over it, and I pull them out. Usually the bottom will be baked, and then you take the top off, and the heat coming from the top bakes it, and it just browns the top real quick. So you only need to do that for like 2 to 5 minutes, and then your baked goods are baked perfectly through. So I got pretty good at making things in my Ninja air fryer because that was my only way of cooking things for a little while. So talk about next level cooking. Like that is, it's like you have basement and then you have below basement where you just have a couple of appliances instead of like an oven. Oh, that would be interesting. The next level kitchen out of like below the basement where you have to go outside and work in a food truck that has minimal equipment. Ooh. So like the naughty chair. That'd be cool. I wonder if we could like here we go. Let's give that idea to not David. Gordon Ramsay. We'll give that idea to Gordon Ramsay. Have like a naughty chair where they have to go out in this little food truck and cook. I think that'd be funny. All right, so I'm gonna take my face off the camera for a minute. I'm gonna go and rotate. Yeah. Food cam. Don't touch the hot pan with your bare hands. Hot things rotate. Look, look, look. They're looking delicious. They're just light, and you can definitely tell they're still doughy. So, there we go. They're still baking, and now they're rotated. I'm going to put a timer on for another 10 minutes. So, We get the talking head show for another 10 minutes. I just okay, so I love StreamYard and I love the fact that I get to stream like my face and I get to stream the biscuits in like two cameras and then I can share things on the screen and like right now I'm streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch all at the same time. Like I love StreamYard for all of that. I just wish that I could be more in charge of like which camera goes where because sometimes like I want the recipe up, but I want the recipe off like on the side like on the side to be like small, but it won't do that. It puts the recipe as like the big one over off to the side. I'm like, I don't want that over there. I want it small off to the side. So it's like, oh, there's the recipe and I can kind of see what it says, but like the talking head is the important one, or the rest or like mixing is the important thing. I don't want it. I just want the recipe small to the side, and I want to be able to like drag it over there or something. So maybe I just don't know how to use it well enough. Or maybe that's something I need to talk to StreamYard about. StreamYard, let me organize my video where I want it. um, but that could just be limitations of the software. It's not software. Is it software if it's a website? Now that I love that it's a website because I manage to stream on my laptop. And then I use an old phone. The one I'm looking at right now is an old phone. And I use this for the camera. I also have a ring light. You can see my lovely glasses. And then the one that's currently watching this case is actually my phone. And so you can use your own phone pretty easy to do all this. So I'm doing it anyway. My setup. uh, yeah, the reason I go with StreamYard is because I want to be able to stream to multiple places, and this makes it really easy. I think there's other streaming software you can use. I'm not as familiar with it. StreamYard, I got into StreamYard because they had like a free class on how to use it, and I took that. And they have like all kinds of cool branded stuff. Like you can see my logo, like right here. Logo, see, and then it has like my name right here. And then look, I can. Oh, let's see. I can look. I can highlight comments. I really like that. No, I don't do that so much because usually my hands are covered in gunk, so I can't really highlight comments. Now, if somebody would like to step up and be my moderator and like highlight whatever comments and stuff I'm talking about, like I'm not gonna pay you. I'm not making any money. You're not gonna make any money. But if you're gonna do it, I'm here. I'm here for it. Like you can help me. I will let you. Like we'll talk about it. That's another thing that I like with StreamYard is that like you have to pay for it, but you can have collaborators on all your videos, and you can add more and more collaborators. I don't have any collaborators, so that's not something I'm using, but it could be used. Could be. Oh, all right. So I'm too late to start with the spring baking challenge because that one's already started, it's already going. But they also have the summer baking challenge. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure when that starts. I'm researching. I'm in research mode. But I'm thinking of when the spring baking challenge comes up, what I can do is I can make the things that they made for the spring baking challenge. Part of the reason I started doing all of this stuff is because I would really like to be on the baking show, Crimson Kitchen. Crimson Kitchen. I think that would be an amazing baking show to be on. Like it looks like so much fun. So what I would like to do is I would like to. It comes out. I'm thinking like in the fall or winter. It was just announced at the beginning of March that they were going to be back for season 3. And so, and it says it'll be announcing later. So I don't think it'll come out until fall or maybe winter. But when it comes out, I want to bake the recipes that they make for the challenge. Not the ones that like the individual bakers make because those can range all over the place. But the ones that they actually like, this is the challenge item that you're making, um, or that you were supposed to have made from the clues. I want to go through and make all those because the main idea with this channel is to try out making a bunch of different recipes, see if I see if I can do them, and if I can't do them, what can I do to do them, and then like the wins and fails of learning new recipes. So that's kind of what we're here for. And I think that going through and making the recipes that they put on the show would be a good way of building up like a good recipe repertoire. Um, but that doesn't come out until maybe fall or winter. I'm not sure when that's going to come out because it hasn't been announced yet. So I'm thinking if I do the recipes for the spring baking or the summer baking challenge, then that would kind of get me in there too. But I could do the recipes from Bake Off, Great British Bake Off, Great British something or other. But there's just not a lot of baking shows, and most of the baking shows are like cupcake and cake shows, which those are more about your decorating skills than your baking skills. It's part of the reason why I like the Crimson Kitchen because it's not just, oh, can you decorate a cake? Can you make 5 different cupcakes with good flavors and different frostings that look appealing? Like, no, it's not a cupcake baking show. They bake all different kinds of things, like pies and croissants and like one of them, I don't know, like a croissant cone kind of thing. I don't know, but they make a wide variety of like beautiful baked things, and that's what I would like to do. I would like to bake all kinds of things. I don't just want to make different flavored cupcakes. So, training. So yeah, I want to try all of the Crimson Kitchen recipes, the summer baking challenge. Holy cow, why were those words not coming out? And then I think like doing like the Great British Bake Off, like doing the things that they do there would be really cool. The only thing is if I were going to do something like the Great British Bake Off, I would probably do it a week behind because they have their the showpieces that require a lot of attention to detail and doing a lot, and I would want some time to be able to plan that. And so I could watch it 1 week and then like the next week have the day be like I do the challenges and then like the like Thursday I do the showpieces. That's the idea anyway. So if you'd like to see me at that, let me know because I think that could be a lot of fun. Um, and I've seen other channels where people have done like that do the recipes from the Great British Bake Off and stuff like that. Um, So I think that would be fun to do and fun to see like what I could do with those kind of things. The only thing is I think some of those they're in a couple of hours. I'm not sure if I would have the time. I might have to start those early or if it was like 4 hour baking time, 5 hours or something like that. It's like you have 5 hours to put this thing together. It's like, okay, well I need it done before my kids get home. So I'll just have to start earlier on those days. We can work it out. We'll see what happens. All right, so the timer's about to go off on the biscuits. Let's go check on what they're doing, how they're looking. Okay, so they're looking a lot more cooked. They do look like they need a little bit more time to get a little bit darker, but it like if you look over here, the bottom on this looks pretty cooked. Like it's a light brown color. Can you see that? Light brown color on the bottom of that biscuit. Yes, these are hot. So we just need a little bit more color on the top. And I think those will be just about done. So I'm going to give them 5 more minutes and then we'll see where they are. All right, yeah, the biscuits are just about baked. The bottoms are lightly brown on there, and so we just need the tops to get a little bit more brown and get that a little bit more finished off, but they're looking amazing. And I forgot to put garlic in some of it, so I was gonna separate it out and then put garlic in part of it and fold that in, but I forgot to do that. So no garlic. Maybe I'll make some garlic butter if they want to eat them, because we're gonna have breakfast for dinner tonight with um, biscuits and bacon and eggs, and so it's gonna be awesome having cheddar biscuits with dinner with breakfast with like bacon and eggs. So I think we're also gonna do a little bit of sausage. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think it'll be delicious. So, um, oh yeah, I was gonna see about making my keto recipe. I forgot about that just now, so we're not gonna do that today. I do have the Keto Kitchen has a really good it's a garlic cheddar biscuit recipe. It's a mug kind of you make it in a mug, you just microwave it, and I think it uses coconut flour. So it's low carb and it's really delicious. It has more of a texture like a cornmeal, like a cornbread than a biscuit, but they're still really good and they're low carb and they can make things like burgers be a little bit better. So I actually love to put a hamburger on a biscuit. I don't know why. Like you get a biscuit, you put like a hamburger with cheese and like ketchup and tomato and lettuce on the biscuit. It's just amazing. I'm not sure why it does that, but oh goodness. But you also just have it like burger, meat, cheese, biscuit. Mm. Oh, I think I'm probably gonna make some breakfast sandwiches later. And maybe we'll make some gravy with it. Do you have any ideas? I'm getting hungry. Maybe I'll have a bowl of Rice Krispie treat cereal before oh, breakfast for dinner. It's always delicious. So we're getting close to the end here. If you like this kind of thing, where I'm making stuff for different things, feel free to like and subscribe. I do have the Facebook channel. I started the Facebook page for the business slash channel. Um, it mostly just has announcements on like what's going on and what I'm doing with everything going on. This weekend was really busy, so I didn't get to do what I normally would do. But I'm working on figuring out a schedule, and we're getting there. We're getting somewhere anyway. It's just slowly coming along. So yeah, so I have the YouTube side. All of the polls will be on YouTube because Facebook stopped doing polls, and then I don't think you can do polls on Twitch. So, and rather than have you go to like, I can probably put polls on my website, but that's kind of hard too. So, if you want to participate in the polls, those are on YouTube, and I share links onto my Facebook, both my business and my regular Facebook. So, if you're following from there, just keep an eye out for the links. I always post them on the business one, and then I share them on my regular Facebook. So check back with the Baking with Jen Facebook site, and that one will have all of the complete information versus what I share on my personal one. So yeah. Oh, what I should do is give you guys the recipe for um, my biscuits, because this is my personal recipe that I've taken other recipes and altered them so that this is the recipe I usually use. So it's usually 4 cups or 480 grams of flour, a cup and a half or 3 sticks of butter, and then I usually use a salted butter, so I don't usually put butter in it. But then it's 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 2 eggs. I only use one today, but 2 eggs, and then 3/4 cup to a cup of milk. Um, I always eyeball the milk, so I'm not. Really depends on how humid or dry it is out. But you're basically looking for like a wet dough consistency. Um, that's what we're doing. Now you guys just heard the timer going off for the biscuits, so let's go check out what the biscuits are. All right. They still don't look like they have a lot of color on them. Let's see how the bottom is looking. The bottom looks done. They feel done, just the top's not really done. So we're gonna go ahead and take these out. And then I figure when we toast them up at the end, that'll probably get them the nice color that we're gonna want. So as you can see, like there's a little bit of color getting on the biscuits here. I think if I had coated them in some kind of like egg wash or butter, then they might be a little bit more brown, but the bottom has the color that I want. So we're just gonna leave them on here to cool, and then if we need more color on the top, then we'll just toast them up later. So these are coming out. They look really good. They smell good. They have toasty cheese on the bottom, and overall, we're looking really good. I think these would be great for breakfast. Breakfast for dinner. All of the thing we're doing. All right. So, anyway, that's what those looks like. They're all baked and ready. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This has been a lot of fun. We'll be back on Thursday to make oatmeal cream pies and hot cross buns. I'm really excited about the hot cross buns. There's those kind of like a sweet bun, and you like put a couple dough balls together and they make like a cross. So it's a lot of fun. We'll get to do that on Thursday. Thanks for hanging out today, and I'll see you later. Bye. And